Here's the next generation of jackass from Finland called the Dudesons. They started off on the internet using their little episodes of their own sort of extreme Euro jackass behavior, and they got a home DVD deal out of it, and this is a cult item around the world right now. I actually had to get this off Amazon after quite a wait to get it. And the most interesting thing about it is these four Finnish stoners are doing quite well for themselves, because when you open up the packaging, they've repackaged their web shorts as mobile phone content, and it's promoted right there within the DVD box. So they sort of are figuring out multiple paths to reach their audience and packaging it in a very, very smart way. Even what these guys basically do is get drunk with their pet pig and fling themselves off tall buildings. I mean...
Right, and this is a point that we haven't we had meant to cover, and this is a good point. Where's your video iPod?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so let me just show you. Okay, the number of devices you need to be thinking about now. So there's Steve's video iPod. Here's my current generation mobile phone, which can do MP4, and I have a gigabyte of RAM in here, so I can run a feature-length, actually several feature-length movies in here, if you don't mind watching it on the mobile. You just flew out to San Diego.
Yeah, and I packed this thing up, not even full. I put 8 feature films on there to watch while I was on the plane. Me and my partner just put a headphone splitter in, and we each get a set of headphones and we watch movies while we're on the plane. But the brilliant thing about this, and it relates to an announcement Apple just made within the last week, is that I can plug this cable into this video iPod and watch those feature films on any TV. So what's happening here is that instead of me carting around this giant library of DVDs wherever I go, I just cart around this. This holds all my music, every song I own, plus at any given time about a dozen feature films, plus some episodes of some TV shows, plus some user-generated content that I've downloaded on the internet. It's my whole media library. It's not a physical library that in the old school would be the mode of how people sold you stuff, either by selling you DVDs or selling you CDs or whatever. I've downloaded it all and put it on this. Now Apple just released something, or made an announcement about something called the ITV, which is a very confusing title because ITV can describe any number of services, broadcasters, and ideas around the world. But what they're basically doing is they're just upping the output quality to this till it's high def. And this will be how you now watch movies. You'll just carry them on your iPod with you, or TV shows or whatever. You won't necessarily go to Blockbuster and rent a DVD. You'll just pop this in your cradle by your computer, go to iTunes, and equivalently rent or buy Jackass 2.
Right, or have a subscription, and we'll show you some other things that are on iTunes that people aren't charging for, that they're giving away, but are still getting advertising revenue for.
So this might sound outlandish, but when you were to tell somebody 5 years ago that, you know, my CD collection would basically go into my computer and then collect dust for the rest of its years because I will be carrying this with me 24/7 in the car, when I travel at the airport, when I'm lounging around at home. I have several docks at home. And whatever room I'm in.
You do, you have a dock in every room. It's weird.
I just set it in, and then I've got this thing programmed with my favorite playlist, depending on what mood I'm in, which is, we won't go there. And it allows me to enjoy my entertainment wherever. The new Apple thing, Apple is betting, and with the success of iTunes, I bet it's a very sure bet, that whole model of getting you to see your movies and TV shows is going to be a winning model.
Right. Now, as a producer, what you may want to think about, and we'll take a look at the show with Z Frank in just a little bit, but you could do something that's, rather than 22 minutes long or 44 minutes long or 90 minutes long, you could do something that's 5 minutes long or 10 minutes long, or just deliver it out in small doses. And people are subscribed through iTunes. They don't even think about it. The next time they pick up their iPod after they've had their iPod connected to their Mac or their PC, it's in there. And it's in there for them to watch. Or they can go over to their friend's house and plug it into the TV set and watch it. That's the way that we are starting to consume media. In 5 years, that's absolutely the way. It is not going to be about making an appointment with that monstrosity. That monstrosity is going to be there if you need it, but it is not going to be censored. It's not going to be centered on that device. It's going to be centered on the fact that this is carrying the media, and where do we have a convenient output device for the number of people who want to watch it right now? If it's just me, this is going to be fine. If it's me and Steve, that might be fine. If it's this whole room, that's more appropriate. That's the way this is moving. And so the number of ways that we can get into that device is now multiplying.
And I'll just make a side note that that's why this whole current battle with high-def DVD and Blu-ray is irrelevant. By the time that battle is fought, nobody's going to be using these goddamn pieces of plastic to cart around movies anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Now, let me give you another example of a completely alternate distribution mechanism, which I think, particularly if you're a documentary filmmaker, you'll find very interesting. So, Robert Greenwald made a documentary that came out in 2004 about Fox News called Outfoxed, and he basically did a complete dissection on Fox News news gathering practices and how they systematically slant the news. And he couldn't get anyone to even advertise the fact that the DVD was coming out. The New York Times wouldn't take his ads because everyone was too afraid of pissing off Rupert Murdoch, because Rupert Murdoch is extremely powerful. Turns out it didn't really matter, even though that actually did get some press coverage, because his funding co-partner was a political action organization in America called MoveOn.org. MoveOn.org gave him, I think, $150,000 to the $300,000 he needed to make the documentary. He got the rest from investors. And at the time that the DVD was ready, MoveOn.org, through their massive mailing list, which has 7 or 8 million Americans on it, they basically sent out a call and they said, we've got this great new documentary which shows how Fox News systematically twists the news to the right wing. Here's the deal. If you promise to have 10 people over to your house for a viewing of this movie, we will send you a free copy of the DVD, 7 p.m. Sunday night. After you've watched the movie, you can then join the producer, Robert Greenwald, in a telephone conference, and you can ask him questions. They got 30,000 people to watch the movie. 3,000 houses, 10 people in them minimally. They got 30,000 people in one evening to watch the movie. The next day, the DVD goes for sale on Amazon. It shoots to number 2. 2 weeks later, it sold 150,000 copies, and it has a theatrical distribution deal. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how the game is played.
So what we're trying to say here is not to think about imitating these things, because once it's done, it may not work again, but it shows you exactly how people stepped outside the box to get their ideas in front of other people. And this is really what we're trying to do here, is to give you the lay of the land from a business, a creative and technological standpoint, so that when you're thinking up your new projects, you can take a step outside of, I'm going to pitch it, Telefilm's going to give me some cash, it's going to go on air, and I might do a website that goes along with it. Because that's what we're saying is slowly becoming more and more irrelevant.
Now, in case in point, Canadian production, all right? The corporation. So it was shown, I think originally, was it on CBC as a 3-hour television documentary, I believe, something like that, yeah? Because I know that's how it was shown in Australia when it was finally shown on television. But it was also released theatrically in North America, it was released theatrically in Australia. And of course, time comes to release the documentary on DVD. Well, yeah, you get the 3-hour documentary, but what else do? They have 5 hours of additional material on the DVD. So it's like getting a second whole movie with all their background material, their information, and everything like this. So that you actually, even though you've seen the film, if you're really interested in the subject matter of the film, you're going to go buy the DVD, because the filmmakers have provided even more. And this is something that when you're thinking of your work as a producer, when you're in the pre-production process, if you're thinking of delivering on DVD as a medium, even though those discs aren't quite dead yet, they may be obsolete at some point, they aren't quite dead yet, you may want to think about how much, particularly if you're a documentary filmmaker, but also if you're a narrative filmmaker, how much you want to be able to provide later on in the DVD release cycle in terms of additional material. Because everything that you're creating, all the assets you're creating are potentially worthwhile. They aren't things that get thrown on the floor anymore, that there are always vehicles for them.